Hi guys, I'm Simon from Paper Planes Gallery and I'm trying something new today. As you can see, I've got my Dunkirk drawing behind me, or what I've started of it at least. And instead of posting photos every few days and every few weeks of the progress that I'm making, I thought I'd try this little video diary to talk through some of the things I've done, some stuff I find quite fun to do, some things that have been quite challenging, and also how I've done that as well. So let's take a look. So this is where we are at the moment. I appreciate there's not a lot to see right now because it is just a bunch of lines on the paper. But one thing I can show you is the design that I'm working from. This is something I designed myself using Photoshop on the computer. And all being well, it's what the drawing will ultimately look like, fingers crossed. I've probably spent about 2 hours on this so far, and one thing that I do get asked about quite a lot is how I draw the lines in the first place. And I use something that's called a grid technique, and all that is drawing a grid of squares across a photograph and a larger grid of squares on the paper. And that way, all you have to do is draw whatever you see inside each box, and it gets you near enough an exact copy of the photograph that you're working from. It's not necessarily the only way to draw. I know a lot of people like to draw freehand and they just draw what they see. But for me, it gets really good results, which is what I'm after. Although it is very time consuming, it looks good in the end. Hi guys, it's Simon from Paper Planes Gallery. I've just put my pencils down after about 3 hours worth of drawing, and I'm really excited to show you what I've done so far because I feel like it's going really well. So let's take a look. As you can see, progress is good. We've got the smoke in the corner, we've got the German aircraft as well, and a few people on the beach too. But what I want to explain in this video is how I drew that smoke, because I use a few different techniques. So to begin with, I used just an ordinary pencil, but as you can imagine, there were a lot of lines, which isn't a good look when it comes to trying to draw something as soft as smoke. So I resorted to using this down here, which is graphite powder. Now, all I did was shave off the end of a pencil with a knife just to get some powder there. And using cotton wool, I can then smear it across the page to cover a huge space in one go. Once that's down, I could then use an eraser. That brings out all the sharp edges of the smoke and the highlights. And from there, I would use this, which is a blending stump. Now this allows me to smudge without using my fingers, because fingers actually have natural oils in them, and using this instead provides a softer look and it gets rid of all those pencil lines. Of course, if you've got any thoughts or questions for me, anything you'd like to know, just leave a comment below. And that's exactly what Steve did in the last video. He noticed the drawing board looks almost vertical, saying that it must be quite uncomfortable. The answer is that it's more about the way that I'm looking at the picture. It's not too bad because I can rest on the board, but I do have to use a sheet of paper to rest on so that my wrist isn't smudging all the hard work that I've done. Hi guys, it's Simon from Paper Planes Gallery. We are about 8 hours deep into the Dunkirk project and we now have a Spitfire. Now, the Spitfire itself is pretty much finished. The background, however, the water there with the boats, that needs a little more attention, so I'll be getting on with that next time. But in this video, I thought I would show you the time-lapse footage so you could see the Spitfire appear across the page. And whilst that's showing, I'm going to answer a few more of your questions. Now, Stuart asks if I add or change anything whilst I'm drawing, and usually I try to get all the details correct when I'm designing the image on the computer to begin with. But this time I did have to change some parts to the drawing, and that's mainly the letter B is now on the back of the Spitfire rather than the letter N. And there's also a white square next to the letter K that will have a little Kiwi logo, because this is Al Dia's Spitfire from Dunkirk. So the details have to be correct. And I found it much easier to change these on the drawing board this time. So I guess, yes, I do change things as I go along, but I try not to. Also, Rob mentioned that when he's in his man cave, he's usually got a brew with him, and he wondered if I have a particular drink whilst I'm drawing, and the answer is yes. I have my Stormtrooper mug, and that is usually full of coffee. I can't really draw without coffee, to be fair, because it helps me stay awake, helps me stay focused, because 2 or 3 hours at a drawing board is quite a long time, so coffee really keeps me going. As always, if you have any thoughts or questions, whether they're about this drawing or just how I draw in general, just leave those down in the comments below and I will try and answer those in the next video. Before I go, I just want to remind you I am still selling prints of my drawings, and I have a few originals for sale as well. So if you're interested, drop me an email at paperplanesgallery@hotmail.com, or you can take a look at my eBay store. I believe if you search for Paper Planes Gallery on eBay, I should come up, but I'll leave a link to that in the comments for you as well. Hi guys, it's Simon from Paper Planes Gallery. Now, if you've been following the progress of my Dunkirk drawing up till now, you'll know that everything's been going really well. Now, this video is a little bit different because I'm not happy with it. Now, I've just been drawing for the past 4 hours and I got more done than I thought I would. I wasn't expecting to draw quite so much as I did. Although I'm not happy with what I've done, I'm kind of glad this has happened, because so far we've had 3 parts to this video series and they've all been really good, really positive, and really upbeat. And this one is different because obviously I'm not happy with what I've done, but drawing these big, complicated, detailed projects is difficult. I wouldn't want people to think that doing a drawing like this, as complicated as this and as detailed as this, is just a straightforward thing. It doesn't always go to plan. And I get quite a lot of moments when I'm doing drawings like this where I really struggle, and I know I should be happy with it, but I doubt myself sometimes. It feels daft. It seems really strange to have a drawing like this over my shoulder. I know a lot of people would be really happy to have done something like that, but I feel like I could do much better, and I don't want to call this finished and regret it. I don't want to put it out there too soon and think, you know what, people like it, so let's just forget about it. Let's call it finished and let's just crack on. I want to be proud of what I've done, and I want to show it off. I want to shout from the top of the hills and be like, look at this picture I've done. And right now, I would not want to do that. So I can't call this finished yet. So let me explain where I was at before I started drawing today and what went wrong. So I was a little bit nervous getting started, but I thought, you know what, just start drawing people on the beach and see how it goes. Now this is where my first problem came, because I was drawing lots of people down on the beach because that's just the way Dunkirk was, and it started to look very messy, very confusing, and I felt like it was taking the attention away from the Spitfire, which I want to be the focal point of this drawing. By this point, I've already spent about 2 hours just drawing people and waves, and I didn't really have anything to show for the time that I'd spent. I just started to get quite frustrated and a little bit upset that I couldn't get it right, and I thought, you know what, just leave them for now and draw something else. So I started drawing the boats, and to be fair, these don't look too bad. They're not particularly detailed. So if you look really closely, there's not a lot there. And that bothers me a bit because I like to have the detail. I like it if someone chooses to get up close to the picture and they start looking for little things, that those things are there. I want the boats to be full of people and they look like that from a distance, but up close it just looks like a bit of a mess. I've drawn everything that needs doing, and I'm looking at what I've done and I can't figure out what it is that I don't like about it. I mean, you might be looking at it thinking it doesn't need improving, it already looks amazing. But I think I'm at a point now where I set such high standards for myself and I want every drawing to be better than the last. Hopefully I'll be able to see what needs doing. But in the meantime, if you're watching this, if you've made it this far, please just tell me what you think. Tell me if you think it's good, if you're happy with it. Tell me if you think anything looks weird, anything looks strange or could do with some work. Any sort of feedback is what I need right now. And I'll have a look through your comments. We'll discuss it. We'll have a chat. Hopefully next time you see this, we'll be able to call it finished.